Hey, what's up, guys? It's Angel Satowski. I'm giving you another UFC Fight Night prediction video. This time, Hermansson versus Pyfer. And this event goes down today, Saturday, February 10th, 2024. Prelims begin at 4 p.m. going down from the Apex, Las Vegas, Nevada. And two middleweights are headlining this card. So let's get into it. First fight up of the night, bantamweight fight, Daniel Marcos against Ira Kalang. He's taken on some opponents, some decent opponents in his UFC stretch. Beat Johnny Munoz Jr., which is a good win, but Johnny Munoz Jr. really hasn't materialized as a UFC fighter. Lost to Amon Zahavi. Nice one over, I don't know. I mean, he's fought a good number of dudes, man. Some decent guys. Going up against Daniel Marcos, 21 fight win streak. Went over Davey Grant by split decision, beat Simon Oliveira. I'm going to side with Daniel Marcos here, man. I'm not super confident in this pick. Well, he is a 3-1 favorite, but I am going to side with Marcos. Amil against Fernie Garcia. Fernie Garcia, just not really a UFC fighter in my opinion. Lost all 3 fights in the UFC. Even him beating Joshua Weems getting to the UFC, I just didn't think that was really a high-quality win. Amil, I believe he is undefeated, 8-0. Coming off the Dana White Contender Series. Won on unanimous decision and got into the UFC. I'm going to side with Amil here. He is a minus 240 favorite. I am going to side with him. Zach Pauga against Bogdan Guskov. I think Guskov's got that one-round cardio. He's from Uzbekistan. Lost to Volkan. And I know, he landed some punches on Volkan, but I did predict Volkan in that fight, and Volkan did win. Just, Volkan's just a more well-rounded fighter. Better gas tank, better striking, cleaner striking. Zach Pauga, I do like this guy, man. He's on a 1-fight losing streak. Lost to Modekis, Puskakis. Beat Jordan Wright. I do like Pauga here, man. I just think he's just a better fighter. And I'm going to side with Pauga here. Jeremiah Wells against Max Griffin. Max Griffin, just somebody that's just kind of alternating wins and losses in the UFC. Did have a nice winning streak, but his earlier UFC career, this guy feels like he's been around forever in the UFC, man. I mean, look, this guy's been around unbelievably since like 2016. Give him credit, man. This guy has hung in there, man. I mean, this guy's almost made a decade-long stretch in the UFC, man, as a mediocre fighter. So props to him. Jeremiah Wells, this guy's a strong dude, man. He's built like a tank. Definitely gonna side with Jeremiah Wells here. It's kind of surprising he got subbed by Carlston Harris. This guy's shown good submission defense. Absolutely destroyed Court McGee, beat Matt Semmelsberger in a fight that he did get dropped in. And I like him here against Max Griffin, man. So I'm going to side with Wells. Devin Clark against Marcin Praciano. Two guys that probably shouldn't be in the UFC. Praciano, he kind of, got William Knight booted out of the UFC. Looked like a superstar against William Knight. Devin Clark, good wrestler. I don't know, man. This guy just gives up in fights. I'm going to side with Devin Clark here. Not a whole lot of faith behind it. Lookboonmee against Bruna Brazil. I mean, I have been impressed with Bruna Brazil in her last fight against Shauna Bannon. I thought she looked good. Lost to Denise Gomes. Luma, she's just an excellent striker, man. I mean, you're not going to really beat her on the feet striking. You're going to have to take her down. I am going to side with Luma here, but I am interested in seeing what Bruno Brazil can do. Timothy Karamba against Balaji Oki. I'm going to side with Oki here, but Karamba looks like an exciting fighter, 25 years old. A lot of wins by knockout. So this should be an exciting fight. I'm going to side with this Oki dude here. Trevin Giles against Carlos Prates. Kind of just sick of seeing Giles around the UFC. Prates, coming off a win on the Dana White Contender Series. is making his UFC debut. I am gonna side with the guy here. He is an LFA vet, Trevin Giles. This guy's always kind of around. I think he's a police officer now. You know, I don't really know how much he's dedicated to the sport or how much he can be. But I'm going to side with Prates here. But, you know, Giles always seems to find a way to win some of these fights. Rodolfo Vieira against Armin Petrosyan. I'm just a little higher on Petrosyan. This fight was scheduled to take place several months ago. I am going to side with Petrosyan here, but I do believe the odds are probably around pick'em still. Yeah, Vieira is a -122 favorite. That's kind of what he was going to close at in their originally scheduled fight several months ago. But I am going to side with Petrosyan here. Michael Johnson against Darius Flowers. I'm going to side with Michael Johnson here. Credit to him for still being around the UFC. Brad Tavares against Gregory Rodrigues. Sure, we'll probably see Tavares knocked out here or subbed, but I'm going to side with Gregory Rodrigues. Again, props to Tavares for being around the UFC since 2011, I believe, maybe 2010. But Gregory Rodrigues, this guy's a dangerous dude, man. He's taken on a who's who, been very active fighting. I like Gregory Rodrigues here to get a sub or knockout win. Ihor Potieria against Robert Bryczek. I think Potieria just slightly missed weight, but he did take the fight on short notice. Bryczek, 5 wins, Polish fighter. The worrying thing is that he has a lot of first-round finishes, so how's his cardio going to be? We've seen Potieria outside of the first round. He's another first-round finisher. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, but, man, he's been a very active fighter, Ukrainian. I'm going to side with Bryczek here, but, man, I'm not going to be shocked in the slightest if Potieria pulls off a knockout win of his own. Dan Ige against Andre Fili. I just think Dan Ige is the more well-rounded fighter. Ige is a very good fighter, in my opinion. Lost to Bryce Mitchell. We just seen Bryce Mitchell get destroyed by Josh Emmett. But I do like Ige here, man. Fili's coming off a nice win over Lucas Almeida. But I just think Ige is the better fighter. Better on the ground. See Ige going for takedowns, and he's just a gritty fighter. So is Fili, but I'm going to side with Ige here. Great matchup, though. Jack Hermansson against Joe Pyfer. UFC likes to do this with fighters. They obviously like to resort to fighters that have headline cards before. Jack Hermansson has headlined numerous cards since 2019. 35 years old, 1-fight losing streak. Hasn't been as active in recent years. Last fought, he didn't fight at all in 2023. Last fought in December of 2022. But he did headline a card 2 years ago, Super Bowl weekend, against Sean Strickland. So, and he lost. So the UFC kind of likes to resort back to guys that have headlined, you know, around the same time of different years. You know what I'm saying? I've noticed that trend. And I don't think they just do it randomly. But like I said, he did have a nice win over Chris Curtis. Completely out-volumed that dude. Chris Curtis couldn't find him. Obviously, with Pyfer here, Pyfer's biggest concern for Hermansson is the knockout ability that this guy possesses. He swings hard, swings fast. Abdul was completely scared of the dude. I do think Pyfer will gas. I do think Hermansson needs to stay on his bike, out-volume the dude, wear the guy down. Don't know what Pyfer's cardio is like. I imagine it is very questionable. I do like Hermansson here, and I probably will have a small bet on him at plus 200 odds. Hopefully we can get even better than that, maybe plus 220. Hopefully money just continues to pour in on Pyfer, but it's hard for me to really believe people are going to lay that type of price on Pyfer. The smart people, at least. As I do like Hermansson in this fight. Obviously, Hermansson has to survive that first round or two of that heavy power. And Hermansson, you know, I do believe there is a slight bit of quit at Hermansson. I don't believe the guy wants to take a lot of damage. I have questioned some of his losses. You know, I mean, he's got some great wins from earlier in his UFC career, man, but I do think there is a little bit of quit in this guy. And I was really hyped to see this guy make his UFC debut in 2016. So this guy is a good fighter, man. He is a decent fighter. Needs to fight tactically here, strategically, to beat Joe Pyfer. Don't rush it. Just outpace the guy for 5 rounds. So my picks are going to be Hermansson, Ige, Bryczek, Rodrigues, Johnson, Petrosyan, Prates, Oki, Luma, Lookboonmee, Clark, Wells, Pauga, Amil, and Marcos.